we'll just go ahead and allow the experts to do the...
du jardin des plantes. Oh, Ménagerie de Jardin des Plantes.
Hey, that's not bad.
So it's Ménagerie de Jardin instead of Jardin, and then it's plant. Ugh, French.
So let's just... All right, our first topic is zoo. See, there's no... This is why I do puns, because when you just say the topic, it's like, oh, okay. But whenever you puntroduce it, then it...
Puntroduce it?
I don't know, I made that up. All right, this makes up for not having a transition for zoos. So, we're good. We can go ahead and start. So, zoo is actually short for zoological park.
Yes.
But it
so...
Go ahead.
Sorry. Are we good?
Yeah. We're good. It's fine.
What was I saying? Oh, so zoological, they ingrained that to us in college, but don't say zoological, because that's saying you're studying zoos, not so much the animals are in the zoo about zoology, but the zoos. So always say zoological, never zoological.
But it sounds so much better to say zoological.
Yeah, but that's wrong.
Okay. Well, at least you corrected me on that one. I feel like the other stuff we probably said wrong. No one's corrected us on it, so we'll just continue our lives.
Don't listen to the haters, Marilyn. You do you.
True. All right, then I'm going to say zoological. I'm just kidding.
Say it, but I'm going to be like, hey, you're right.
That's fine. All right, so a zoo is a place where animals are kept to be studied and obviously for public display. This may make me seem extremely... what's the nice word to say this? I guess this makes me ignorant for my age, but whenever I read that, I was like... It almost kind of occurred to me like, oh yeah, it's more than just an entertainment or for like public... for public display, yeah. Like the animals. Like, I almost did forget that it went beyond the entertainment factor. Like, yeah. They also study. It's for a good cause. It's for a good purpose. But for me, I guess, for somebody to just go, in and see them and, oh, this is so cool and stuff. It has, its educational side of it. But, from somebody visiting... Not necessarily its existence isn't just to captivate animals and show them off. It's also to study them and you know, yeah. So
I mean, it used to be just to be yo, you know what? I'm rich. Look at my animals.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
It was wealthy people who used these animals to kind of show off their power and like you said, kind of show off look at me. I can have a lion or a tiger here, which would scare me. Even if I was wealthy back then, if I lived back then and I was a wealthy person, that would probably scare me.
I mean, I don't know. It'd be cool, but I don't think I'd ever do it. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not rich. I can't say what I'll do.
Well, it is said that the wall carvings in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Okay, I feel like I have to push a reset button because this just started up here and I crashed and burned a long time ago. Okay, so it said that the wall carvings in Egypt and Mesopotamia, is that how you say it? Oh man.
Yeah, Mesopotamia.
Okay, proved that. And we already looked this up before we started recording, and I already forgot how to say it. But it's... I don't know how to say it.
Menagerie.
There you go. They were created as early as 2500 BC. So...
A long time ago.
It started a long time ago. But obviously not in the form that we know it as nowadays. But...
Yeah.
Goes way back.
Sure. Yeah. So I have that Aztec Emperor Montezuma? I don't know. The second maintained one of the earliest animal collections in the Western Hemisphere. It was destroyed by Hernan Cortez during the Spanish conquest in 1520.
I saw Hernan Cortez on there, so wow. That's cool. And the first modern zoo was opened in 1794 in Paris, France.
I have 1793.
Well, I saw that too. So I saw it's 1793 when it was built, but then when I went on their actual website, it says that they were opened in 1794. So
okay. Mm-hmm. I just want to know if I was wrong.
Actually, I thought so too, but then
National Geographic would have been wrong because that's where I got this info.
No, same here. That's why whenever I was like, okay, but then I saw the wording that they used, and so I feel like that's what explains the different year. Oh, which I also, because I went on their website, I saw a map of the zoo that they have, and I mean, it's not that I've been there, but from just the looks of it, it is huge. Like, they also have gardens, they have exhibits, so it's kind of just like a whole shebang.
Yeah. So, the zoo was now known as, hold on, we had it, the Menagerie de Jardin des Plantes. Is that right? I don't know,
but that just reminded me of...
The Garden of Plants, pretty much, translated.
That just reminded me of Joey from Friends. When he tries to learn how to speak French, and then at the end,
it's all wrong. I can say je m'appelle. It's like je m'appelle Pilau.
Je m'appelle.
That's what I feel like trying to speak French. Oh, sorry. So... It was created... Sorry. The Menagerie of French aristocrats, I almost said that completely wrong, including the king and queen, were taken by the leaders of the French Revolution and then relocated to this menagerie. I'm not going to say the whole thing again. And so it's still, like, super... what is it? It's still going on? Mm-hmm. It's still open, and, like, active and... as a popular zoo in downtown Paris. Mm-hmm. Which, it's like in the middle of downtown.
Oh, that's cool. I guess if anyone has...
It's super fancy.
If anybody has plans of ever visiting in the future, when all this goes away, that I would actually recommend that. Of course, I'm not going off of recommendation of personal experience, but we did a little digging, and so it definitely seems like something that would be really, really cool to check out.
Yeah.
Now, when I was looking into this and when it talked about, our modern zoo starting over there, it almost made me think, okay, well, how about let's check out our local zoo. Yeah. So the Houston Zoo is actually home of over 6,000 animals, and I read on their website that they're known to be the second most visited zoo in the U.S., so I did a little digging just to see if that was true. Another article placed Houston as the number 10 out of the top 20, which again isn't bad out of the nation. But the number one zoo, or the most popular zoo in the U.S., is actually the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah. And
so whenever I went to LA last year, we almost went to the LA Zoo. And I don't know why this is a thing for me every time I travel everywhere. Like, I end up going to zoos. Hopefully nobody gets offended by this, but they're all pretty much the same. It's the same concept, but there's for some reason, like, whenever that comes out or that pops up as like top attractions, I always get lured into it. I'm like, all right, let's go. Yeah, let's go. So, after I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, well, I do want to go visit San Diego, so why not? I'll probably put that on my bucket list.
Are you the kind of person that at a zoo just goes, look at the animal, then walks by, or do you read every single plaque?
So it depends. I'm a 75-25. 75% of the time, I'm going to show up, I'm going to look at them, I will admire them, especially if they're eating, I think it's cool. And then will walk away. 25% of the time, I will be genuinely intrigued by, like, maybe I'm not very familiar with them, or maybe it's because I am, and I'm just interested to see what more I don't know or what more I can learn from it. But for the most part, I'm the one that's just kind of like, okay, look here, look there, moving on.
Oh, I like to read every plaque.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As much as I can, I'm like, oh, look at that. That's interesting. Then I go to the next one. I mean, it's easier than Google. I just got to look at it.
That's true.
I don't have to type anything. I'm just walking by.
That's true. I do. Well, no. I was gonna say, I guess it's because I'm a visual person, so I just get more. My full attention is based off of that. I feel like if there was like a tour guide talking through maybe what's on the plaque, I would be more intrigued to like, oh, okay, you know, rather than me going out of my way. And then also, I think another reason why I've been so turned away from reading the plaques is because every time that I have gone, there's so many other people reading it that I feel so awkward, like kind of just like peeking over their shoulder, trying to squeeze my way to the plaque to read it. And then you kind of feel judged if you haven't moved like fast enough for somebody else behind you to read it. So
that's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't want to be that person that's like hogging up the plaque to read everything. People are like, just get out of the way, I'm trying to look at this animal and walk away.
Yep.
To each their own. Okay, so there are different types of zoos. The first zoo that I'm going to talk about is the urban zoos. So these are located in large cities. So it's kind of like the menagerie, the one that I'm not going to pronounce again. And then we have our suburban zoos, which are like the San Diego Zoo, which are like super big.
Oh, okay.
And each thing has its own enclosure that's kind of specific to their environment.
Okay.
That they're usually used. So yeah, so like they can like roam around and walk.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, like our urban zoos, what happened there was like they had such a small place to work with. They would literally just put the animals like in a glass box, display them, and then put them back in cages.
Oh.
And they would put like as many animals as they could display. So it was like really, really sad. And so they can't really expand those zoos because a lot of the areas around it are landmarks, so they can't like tear anything down or rebuild it. So I think you said the one in Paris, it's still really big, but it's working still, right?
Yes.
So I'm assuming they like change things around to make it more.
And it looked like that.
It.
Yeah. I think that's what it looked like because I mean it was a huge property, and then of course you had your animals in different like places and stuff, but it was it looked pretty big enough to be able to like walk around it, and then you know also be able to see some gardens and stuff. So I do think that they've like changed it over time.
Okay, yeah, and then so there's safari parks where tourists can drive in their own cars and see the animals like walking around.
Have you been to one?
Feed them. I've never been to. Well. No, I didn't. I've seen pictures of my family going without me.
Nice. Yeah, there was one really close to where I went to college. I didn't get a chance to go. Still on my bucket list. Still do want to go. But there's one pretty nearby. I feel like sometimes you think about these kind of things and you don't expect. I guess because we live in a big city. Yeah. So that almost seems not possible. But yeah, you wouldn't have to drive that far. I definitely want to try that out. But I think that's really cool because the animals get more space to actually roam around, right? Like it's even bigger than...
You're the one enclosed and they can do what they want.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting way of putting it.
And so there's one in Susano, Japan, called Fuji Safari Park. And so there they actually have it where you can take like a tour in your car or through one of their vans, and you can actually feed like lions and stuff. Yeah, which is super scary, but I'm sure they're doing it in a safe way.
Right. They wouldn't expose people to it if it wasn't, I guess, safe or controlled or something. Or at least that's what I would tell myself if I ended up going.
You're like, it's safe, I promise it's safe.
Yeah.
You stretch your arm out to feed a lion.
Yeah.
And then the last one I'm going to talk about is kind of, because it has the word zoo in its name, called petting zoos. So these are just for, like, you know, small, like, farm animals that aren't too dangerous. No, unless you get a goat angry and he likes to headbutt, yeah. But, yeah.
Those are the ones that have, like, in, what is it, like, Santa's Wonderland?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how, like, you can go to the rodeo and stuff, and it's just, like, a small enclosure
Okay.
of, like, goats and lambs and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much just go in there, pet them, and feed them and stuff. So they're technically zoos.
But...
because it's in the name, but it's not, like, anything big.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Well, now that I think about it, I was going to ask you what your favorite zoo animal is. Well, no, it's different. I think it's different because right now I was going to ask you what's your favorite zoo animal, and I was like, oh, it's a goat. But now that we're talking about petting zoos and how that's a little different, it's different from saying what's your favorite animal to what's your favorite zoo animal, because a zoo animal could be it's your favorite because you enjoy watching it. You know what I mean? So do you have one in particular?
If you're going for zoos, I like giraffes because you can feed them, and I've done that, and that was really cool.
Huh.
If it's animal in general, it's just penguins. I don't know why. I have a weird obsession with penguins.
That's how I am with owls. Like, I'm pretty sure if I saw one, I'd probably run away.
Yeah.
But I guess the idea, I don't know what it is. I love owls. Always have. But I think at the zoo, and this is really strange too, because it's not like I've been to a ton of zoos either. I did say that when I travel to places, I do go, but it's not like I've traveled like to a ton of places. So, for me, I don't know what it is. I think it's just, it's a visual thing. Mm-hmm. I really like watching the flamingos. Like, I feel like because they're so chill, but they look so beautiful, and I don't know.
So majestic.
Yeah, I think I really do. I enjoy watching the flamingos just kind of do their thing. I feel like and elephants. I like watching elephants too.
Yeah, every time I end up going to watch an elephant, they're always, doing the business, and that's not something I like to see. So I end up walking away very quickly.
I did see that one time. It's not a pretty view.
It's not a pretty sight. Mm-mm. Nope, not at all.
All right, so I guess nope. I didn't set myself up. Nope, that wasn't.
I mean, if you're going to the petting zoo, this might be something you feed to a goat.
That is true.
Thanks,
Carolina.
You're welcome.
I'm definitely on. It's an off game for me. I'm not on my A game right now. But our next topic is apples. Yay.
Which do you prefer, green or red?
Red.
I like green.
Really? No,
unless I'm going to eat it with peanut butter, then it's all about the red.
No, I can appreciate, like, the Granny Smith green apples and all of that.
Yeah.
If it's a part of like a recipe. But if I'm gonna literally just sit down and enjoy an apple, you'll probably never see me touch a green apple. Like, I don't even buy them.
That's all I like to buy.
Huh, that's interesting. Well, speaking of different apples, there's 2,500 varieties of apples that are grown in the U.S. There are 7,500 varieties of apples that are grown throughout the world. That's a lot of apples.
A lot of apples, yeah.
Now, the science of apple growing is called pomology? Yeah. Which sounds pretty cool, but sounds nothing like apples.
Yeah.
Another fun fact is apples are members of the rose family. I don't know if you knew that.
No. Interesting.
And so I looked into it because right off the bat, you're like, wait, what? So I Googled it, and then obviously once they start pointing out all these different things, then you start to connect the dots, and you're like, oh, wow, that makes so much sense. So you know how whenever, and I think it was in biology, it might have been biology, where they do the kingdom, phylum, all of that. Well, they are part of the same family, and so I already looked this up as well, how to pronounce it, but I think they're part of the family Rosaceae, something like that. And so what happens is that the flowers parts happen in sets of 5s. So that family happens in sets of 5s. So when you cut an apple in half, let's see, the stem is on the top, and you cut it horizontally, and you have 2 halves. you will see that it has a 5-pointed star. You see the seeds in there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and then obviously it has also to do with their leaves and all of that. But I didn't get too in depth into it. It just kind of, that was enough for me to kind of connect the dots. Strawberries and peaches are also a part of like that big old family.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of pretty interesting. Some science in there. Or
yeah, I avoided the science part.
Nice.
Most of the information I have is just about North American apples.
Oh, okay.
So, North American apple harvesting began with the settlers at Jamestown in 1607. So they brought seeds and stuff from Europe and they planted it while they were here. But kind of when the original apples that they had brought wasn't great for them to like harvest it and stuff here.
Okay.
And so the seeds actually began to provide like a whole new like variety of American apples, like specific American apples. But those apples weren't really used to like be eaten because they were too bitter, and so they were used to make cider.
Oh, that's cool.
And cider was like their main drink because they couldn't drink water for like sanitation reasons and stuff. They couldn't get it like filtered correctly, I guess. And so cider was what they kind of drank.
That's cool. So,
oh, they even used cider to pay some people's salaries.
Oh, that's cool. Well, also another fun fact is apples will ripen 6 to 7 times faster at room temperature than if they were refrigerated. This, I don't know if it's a 6 to 7 times faster, but I can attest to this. It's actually very true where if I leave my apples out in my fruit basket, they're going to ripen a lot faster than when I put them in the refrigerator. Now, I actually prefer to eat my apples cold when I'm going to cut them. If I'm going to eat like a sliced apple, then I love when it's cold. Now, if I'm going to bite into an apple, then it has to be room temperature because I don't appreciate the coldness with my teeth and all of that.
I agree with that one.
Which I prefer to eat apples when they're sliced anyway than when I have to bite them. Mostly because like whenever I would take apples to work, first of all, that's just not a good idea.
It's just not a good thing to eat if people can see you.
Well, see you or hear you, like, within that close, no.
Yeah, I feel like my jaw isn't strong enough because sometimes it gets locked on there, and so I'm like, okay, I'm stuck here. How do I get out of this?
And then if it's super juicy and you gotta do the little, like, you feel bad that people are basically, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I know why. I'm not gonna say I'm 100% right because also this is coming off like years of science that was way back when I was in like high school. But I think there's like a certain gas that the plants still produce, and so when they're in a fruit basket together, things tend to ripen faster. And so when you separate the apples or your fruits or whatever to their single like area by themselves, they won't ripen as fast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of said gas.
I guess it's that whole concept when they say if you want your avocados to ripen faster, you put them near bananas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I could Google it for you, but whatever.
We're good. Now, well, speaking of gases and stuff like that, so 2/3 of the fiber and several antioxidants that the apple has are actually found in the peel. So don't peel your apples if you're looking for like the good stuff. Which, funny enough, my mom did one of two things. Like, my mom used to actually like stab like a full like apple onto a fork so that the fork could be like our stick, and she would peel them, and we would be eating kind of like, I guess when they would sell those caramel apples. Yeah. Okay, well, but it would just be like, we would
eat a regular apple on a fork.
Exactly. But then at the same time, she would tell us not to peel our apples, well, once we got older, because that was all the good stuff. So I'm like, all right, Mom, you got to make up your mind. Do we need the vitamins, or are we just enjoying this?
That was actually a question on Jeopardy that I've been watching recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one, and then they brought up, what was it? Nike, and they said that the swoosh resembles a wing? I don't get that. Do you think it looks like a wing?
I mean, maybe that might have been. Remember when I talked about how it came from a dream from a guy who's thinking about a goddess,
yeah.
And then
that makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, that's probably because whenever I said it last week, I was like, well, I don't fully get it, but I guess. But now that you said that, that's probably where the connection comes from.
Oh, look at that! We're still learning about other topics we've done.
Yes, or connecting the dots.
Yeah, connecting the dots. Okay, so you were talking about how fiber, and so apples are low in calorie and free of fat, sodium, and cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
They're rich in fiber, disease-fighting antioxidants, and a variety of vitamins, including potassium, folate, niacin, vitamins A, B, C, E, and K. And then apples are associated with a low risk of a variety of cancers, stroke, and diabetes. And so I think this is where people get, well, there's a bigger reason, but like apple a day keeps a doctor away, or whatever.
Yeah, I did read that it's like it's a European saying that has like a little bit different saying or background, but it really boils down to the same concept. Like, if you get these vitamins and you're eating an apple, it has all these good stuff that you're basically almost like taking the doctor's job away or you're making him work for his money because you're still going to be healthy, or you're keeping yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Another fun fact, Thomas Jefferson is actually, like, in a roundabout way responsible for the Fuji apple, or bringing the Fuji apple to the United States.
How's that?
So the story goes, Edmund Charles Genet, probably wrong pronunciation again, a French minister to the United States, gave Thomas Jefferson a gift of apple cuttings that Jefferson then donated to a Virginia nursery, so where they grow plants and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they cultivated a variety of apple known as the Raylis Genet. And then in 1939, a Japanese apple breeder crossed the genes from the classic red delicious apple variety with that of Jefferson's Rallis Genet apple that they had, resulting in the new Fuji apple.
Oh, that's cool.
So it took a while.
Mm-hmm. No,
but he was still responsible for it.
That's cool. And I think that's another reason why they say there's, like, so many varieties. Like, that's kind of why I started it off with, like, hey, there's so many. Now, some of the most popular ones are the Golden Delicious, which is that really, like, dark red apple, which I didn't know that's what it was called until I looked it up. Then you have the Fuji apple. You have the Gala or Gala, depending how you want to say it. There's the Brayburn, the Granny Smith, the Jonah Gold, the Wine Sap, Arkansas Black, and Rome. There's obviously a ton more, but those are, like, known to be some of the more popular ones.
There's also a Carolina apple.
Oh, is there? Oh, we did talk about... Yeah. What did we talk... I don't remember if we...
I think so.
We talked about it, but I don't know if we talked about it, like, while we were recording, so...
I think we were thinking about topics. Yeah. I just like to throw that in. My name's Fish. Nice.
Now, I have another, like, fun fact. Is in a 2018 poll... Gala was officially known to be the nation's favorite apple. Red Delicious was the most popular, and it had been around for forever, so it was always known. But the Gala apple was brought to the U.S. in the 1970s, and it quickly, like, over the course of the years, turned into the nation's favorite. Which, to be honest with you, that's actually my favorite apple, so that's why I, like, really got into it, and I thought it was really cool.
I like Granny Smith. I mean, they're more expensive, but I like them.
Are they?
I think so. I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't really buy apples that often.
I guess because I don't really buy them. I think the only time, again, that I do is if they're part of a recipe, or if, like, I'm going to juice it and, like, combine it with something else, but I don't pay too much attention to those. Now...
Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, we're super pumped about this.
We're excited by apples.
According to Gourmet in the 1970s. Well, okay, hold on. Before I say that, this is my transition, so you go ahead.
No, I was going to transition too, so go ahead.
Oh, wow. Okay, so in the 1700s, poor families in Denmark and Sweden gave teachers baskets of apples as a payment for the children's education. Mm-hmm. Now, again, there's a lot of, like, theories. This is kind of where it comes from. But It is also said that farmers' kids gave struggling teachers apples during the onset of the Great Depression. And I'm pointing this out because you know how they say, like, the connection. Like, where did the apple suddenly come into play with education? Like, why do kids give teachers, you know, apples?
An apple.
Like,
Yeah. So, what I kind of looked into was, like, how apples played a part in history or, like, certain stories. And so I found a few. So, in Norse mythology, did I say that right? Okay. The goddess of Iowan, I'm pronouncing that one definitely wrong, is known for providing apples to the gods that gave them eternal youthfulness.
Oh.
So apples, that's how they played a part in Norse mythology. And then in Greek mythology, the goddess of discord, Eris, became disgruntled after she was excluded from the wedding of Peleus and Thetis. In retaliation, she tossed a golden apple. Translated, there's a certain it's Kalisi, sometimes Kalisti, for the most beautiful one into the wedding party. 3 goddesses claimed the apple: Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. And then after that, Hera and Athena, Aphrodite attempted. Sorry, I said this all wrong. Paris of Troy was appointed to select who would get the apple. Sorry, I skipped a part. And then after being bribed by both Hera and Athena, Aphrodite tempted him with the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta, and awarded the apple to Aphrodite, thus causing the Trojan War indirectly. So that's kind of how an apple started the Trojan War. And then a tradition was to throw an apple at someone to symbolically declare one's love. And if you caught that apple, you were also accepting that love.
Great. I'm going to go throw an apple at my husband. This is going to be great. He's going to be so
throwing
confused.
apples at people.
That's so funny.
Sorry. That was very poorly told. But you got the gist.
I got it. Now, the reason why we wanted to bring this up towards the end is because we're going to go ahead and transition into our next topic, which has to do with education. We're going to be talking about Ivy League schools. Now, I live in a bubble. I will say this because I have definitely heard about Ivy League schools for forever. Like, it's a thing. You're definitely bound to hear it. Now, before today, I will admit that I did not know all 8 of the schools. I knew of them separately. I didn't know that, I guess I didn't connect the dots on this one, that these were the 8, like, from the top of my mind.
I didn't even know there were 8.
Well, that's true. I didn't know there were 8, but I had heard of all of these just in separate occasions. So that's kind of what brought on the interest of bringing this topic up. So Ivy League references to, again, the 8 schools that make up the Ivy League Athletic Conference. Obviously, like, when it comes to athletics, there's different conferences, especially different levels of universities and all of that. Now, these are private colleges in the Northeast. The 8 schools are Brown University, Columbia University, Cornell University, Dartmouth College, Harvard University, Princeton University, University of Pennsylvania, which that's the one they call Penn State, right? Or no?
I have no idea.
Okay. Maybe it might be, or it could be a different one. And then there's Yale.
It's called UPenn.
UPenn?
Yeah, it's...
Okay, never mind. I guess there's another one. Now, like, these Ivy League schools have such a high, like, prestigious, I guess, kind of like we were talking about last week with Nike and Coca-Cola, how like they have such a high, I guess, view or, again, prestige. But there's others, there are some colleges, for example, MIT and Stanford, that have been kind of incorrectly labeled, but they're not a part of the Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
Now, the term Ivy League came about in 1954 when the NCAA Athletic Conference for Division I was formed. Again, that whole grouping comes from the same, athletic part of it. Which also, fun fact, they're actually one of the only conferences, if not the only conference, that doesn't give, like, athletic scholarships.
Yeah, so, like, each division, there's certain one, like, amount of money you can give, and then at the top, the Division I, like, you can't, right?
No, exactly.
Okay. But I feel like it would be a different way around.
You would think that if it's so prestigious and so high up there, that if you're going off of athletics, you would, right? But guess not.
Yeah. What do you know? I mean, I don't know anything about sports, to be honest. Or, like, collegiate, so I can't say very much.
Well, I it's not like I know a whole ton either, but I may be wrong again, but I feel like a lot of the reason as to why people do know so much about certain colleges is based off of their sports programs. Like, if you're into their football, you obviously know of this university versus this university and all of that. I feel like that's what gets people more involved or more, I guess, like that spotlight, which makes sense why some universities focus on their athletic programs and what conferences they're a part of. And, because that's what brings students to want to go to their university. Obviously, it brings money. It's a whole another world, right? But I just find it interesting that the top dogs, I guess, don't.
Where did you, like, originally hear about Ivy Leagues?
I heard about them in high school. Closer to, I want to say maybe my senior year, when obviously everyone's thinking about, it was probably junior year, when we were all thinking about, where we were going to go. And then that's when I started hearing, of course, like I said, I would hear of these universities separately, and then I would hear the term, an Ivy League school. But I never, I guess I never bothered also to put two and two together. Now, I actually went to Harvard my sophomore year. Again, did not put two and two together to think, this is an Ivy League school. But I did go to Harvard for, like, a speech and debate competition. It's a beautiful campus. But again, like, it was all individualized. It was not a group thing. But I heard of that word thrown around. But I guess my higher education was not set. My eyes were not set on that.
Yeah, I knew I could never get there, so.
I just didn't. I knew I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave Texas. My sophomore year, I was convinced I was actually because of my speech and debate, I loved Boston. I was like, I'm going to go to school in Boston.
Wow.
And then junior year came around, and I was like, no, I love Texas. I take pride in being a Texan, so I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I think, like, for me, where I kind of realized how intense it was for some odd reason through Gilmore Girls.
Oh.
Like, because, like, she applies to, like, two of the schools. She goes to, like, what is it, Yale and, Princeton. And so, like, I didn't realize, like, pretty much anything about it very much. I was like, there's Ivy League schools, they're, like, the top ones. Cool, whatever. I don't really care about it. And then, like, I saw how intense it was to, get into the schools, how intense their, like, games and stuff were. And so that was, like, I was like, this is just, like, a completely different life than what, like, even regular colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of, I guess, Gilmore Girls and celebrities, I looked up some celebrities that actually graduated from these Ivy League schools. So Natalie Portman went to Harvard. There's quite a few people from The Office that also graduated from these Ivy League schools. You have John Krasinski, who went to Brown. BJ Novak went to Harvard. Mindy Kaling went to Dartmouth. Ellie Kemper went to Princeton. And Rashida Jones went to Harvard as well.
It's surprising that they never brought that one up with Andy, who's always talking about Cornell.
I know, that is true.
They chose like the one school that nobody went to.
Maybe? Oh, I don't know. We should look into it. Maybe the writers kind of humored.
Looking fun.
Maybe. Could have been. Now, and another, the last celebrity that I put on there was John Legend went to the University of Pennsylvania.
What do you know?
So, and like these people actually like graduated from there. There's quite a few other celebrities that went to it, but of course some of them at that point had picked up on their acting career. And so
they like didn't graduate and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think Matt Damon was one of them. I forgot which one he went to, but at that point he got full into acting, so he didn't, finish. But the ones that I mentioned, a lot of them went for like English. They majored in English, psychology, like quite a few different, like I think all centered around what is it called? What is English?
Like writing?
Yeah, or like filmmaking or stuff like that. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting, pretty cool that sometimes we see these celebrities as like these unique people who are unlike us, but hey man, they have an education. Some of them do.
Well, I mean, but then again, these are Ivy League colleges that are super prestigious and expensive. Like for what I read was like these colleges are known for having super elite, rich white men go and graduate from these to have like super high up positions, like at Fortune 500 companies. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Okay. It's something like hold like political offices and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of cool to see the range of like the positions you can get or people have with a degree from this school.
Wow, that's cool. And it's true. That's true. And that's not to say that, like, if you didn't go to these schools, like, it's not to belittle your education or what you're capable of doing. Like, you can literally range from an Ivy League school to still, like, a public... Yeah, public university, private university, community college. I think in the end, and again, I'm always probably, I think from here on out, always going to pull from that one episode, that Lego episode where it's like, and you can have an associate's degree, you can have a certification, you can have a technical degree, you can have no education at all, but in the end, like, that doesn't belittle you or devalue you for who you are and your capabilities of being able to accomplish your dreams. Like, education, no education, like, you're gonna set your own obstacles and you're gonna be ultimately the one who's gonna stop yourself from getting things done, because
it's you. Yeah.
It's like what you want to accomplish is what you're gonna accomplish.
Amen. Wow. Deep talks with Marilyn.
Yes. That's gonna be like the spin-off.
Okay, so I had one more thing where it was like where the term Ivy League came from. And so a lot of these schools have like a day, like, or a graduation day or certain like class day where they would plant ivy, or so they would plant the ivy on the like wall of the school. And so that was kind of like your traditional thing that you did,
like your legacy.
College. Yeah, I guess. Because I know like certain schools, they like, I know, was it Texas? No, hold on. Oh, SFU or SFA. I don't remember. They like dip their hand in like the paint or whatever, and then some people like they jump in, a lake or something.
Oh, kind of like they all have their.
So it's like one of those. Yeah, it's like that traditional thing that you do at the school, and for them it was to plant ivy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That isn't...
So that's where the terms Ivy League came from.
Nice. Well, I guess just to recap, I mean, we talked about zoos. If you have any other interesting fun facts to share, go ahead and do that. I mean, what's your favorite animal? What do you like to do at the zoo? We talked about apples, so I mean, there's a green apples versus red apples here, but you know, what side are you on? We should probably put a poll on that on our Instagram about that. And then Ivy League schools, like, do you know anybody? Do you know more? What else did we miss from it? I mean, we didn't cover specifically each one. They obviously each one have their own, I guess, history and kind of like where they came from and all of that, traditions and stuff. But we just kind of grouped them together into what we know as Ivy League schools. So I actually found the bell that we were talking about last week or the week before that at the end of our episode when I was talking about like, oh, I think there's a bell on YouTube. So I listened to our episode from last week and I finally found that notification bell. And I clicked it, and then it tells you if you want to turn off the notifications, specifically, or if you want to turn on all notifications. So, if you made it this far, go ahead and click the little bell, so that way you know whenever we've gone ahead and posted our new episodes, or whenever, you know, we do stuff on our channel. Like, go ahead and hit the bell, subscribe, share this with your friends and family, and as always, follow us and share some love on Instagram. Thanks for listening to Morning Coffee. Peace.
Bye. Peace.